Morning, everyone. Um, this is a different time and, moment for me to actually come to you. And like I said earlier, if you read the descriptions, and I'm sure you read the title, you saw in there that, I definitely want to give all credit to our brothers, BFTB, was my big brother. Um, Love me, BFTV. He's such a blessing. I appreciate him so much, as well as Junior the Truth. Um, I'm really grateful for just who he has been in this time. Additionally, I just wanted to come by and briefly talk to you about the 7 P's that I use and that I have found to be really, really helpful. Um, and we can see if it's something that you may like to implement going forward. So, we're going to start this as always. It's not going to take long. Um, and I always look forward to just hearing your feedback and just what, you may offer in this conversation, right? So, the first thing is when we come up with a plan, and I'm sure everyone has had a plan at some point in life. You may have one right now, and it's like, okay, I've written everything out, Cameron. Good morning. Good morning. So happy to see you here. I thought I had had my thumbnail up at one point, but it's not showing now. So I got distracted by that, but I don't know much about this whole live thing, but I'll keep working at it. Anywho, so you may have had a plan. All of us have had plans some point in our lives. And we almost reach like this wall or this barrier, right? And we're not able to feel as though we can make any changes to it. We don't feel as though we have as much motivation because what happens typically when things don't work the way that we would like for them to work, what do? We often just abort the entire mission, right? I've been there. So I say this as someone, you know, that has been in that space more than once, more than twice, right? Yeah, you can definitely resonate. That resonates with you. Yeah. And so what happens is we abort the mission, we abort that which we at some point held true as a part of our purpose. Delay, y'all, does not always mean nor signify denial. Okay? It really doesn't. So, what happens? How can we look at this a little differently? If we're saying that this delay did not insinuate the need for denial, meaning that all has not been lost, right? Instead of being so rigid, because that's what has happened. Things happen outside of our control, maybe, that took us off of what we had originally planned. You know, we had some things come up that did not go according to the way we wrote them out, to the way we had envisioned them, to the way we may have imagined them to be. Good morning. Good morning. Top of the morning to you as well. Blessings to you both in here. I appreciate y'all for just hopping in. So we go back to that plan, right? Like I said, when we develop a plan, we typically develop it almost like a box, right? With these four corners, right? And we never look at it as a circle, which means it's ongoing. It's a process. And it's okay if things don't actually go according to our plans, because what did I say earlier? Delay does not mean denial. Now, what do I mean by the denial before we even go further, right? The denial just means, it doesn't mean that it stops there. It doesn't mean just because it may, not go according to our own timing, that you are defeated, or that your purpose no longer holds value, or that your plan didn't have any value or validity to it. No, no. And when we say delay doesn't mean denial, guess what else? Another P that we want to throw in there, because I put on there the 7 Ps, but as I speak to you, more are coming to my mind, right? Patience. How tough is that? Patience. Because so often we're not going to still feel as though we have the control, right? Sometimes patience requires us to just be still. And how many of you know that that is so difficult to do? I'm hearing you. It is. It's difficult. And I love to normalize it, because so often people will act as though, oh, I have a plan and I do this and I do that, boom, boom, bam. And it always works out. Well, the therapist side of me will always challenge that, because I get concerned when people say always. They make it a blanketed statement. But that's a whole nother topic, right? So let's get back to this. When the plan doesn't go according to what we wanted, what would it look like if we were just able to embrace this mindset and openness to being willing to pivot? Let's think about sports. I know a lot of you I've met through various boxing platforms. So that tells me that you do love sports. And isn't pivoting also needed in sports? To just stand still, never move, does that really work? Sure, it doesn't. It doesn't work. It'll work, but maybe not in that individual's favor, right? So it's no different with our plans we may have. We at times have to be willing to pivot. I'm so glad this is resonating with you. Yeah. We have to be willing to pivot, right? Now, when we're pivoting, we don't want to do it, haphazardly. You still want to go according to your plan, because there was a goal at one point that you were trying to attain, right? That you are shooting for, that you are moving towards. So your pivoting just may mean you have to redirect yourself, but it does not abort the plan nor the mission. The goal is still in mind. It just means that we don't have this tunnel vision. We are now able to have more of that panoramic view, if you will. I'm hoping that this is making sense, y'all. I really am. So we go back to what we said at the beginning. Delay does not mean denial. By pivoting, that means we are now incorporating some level of flexibility with this plan that we have prepared, that we are working towards. What's the next thing that came to me? I appreciate y'all. So excited that you were able to join me again. Anyone that's able to join. I joked earlier, I got a little distracted when I started because I couldn't get my thumbnail to come up, but it's all good. The message will be the same. And obviously, I showed how I was willing to pivot. It didn't work according to the way I wanted it to, and we are able to pivot. Good morning to you. So happy you're in here. GHBTV, we have Jose, we have the Step and Razor in here. I'm so excited that y'all are here with me. All right, so let's return to just where we left off at. We are now at the importance of positioning and posturing oneself, right? Positioning and posturing. Yeah. I wonder what even positioning may mean for you, right? I'm one that I don't make any assumptions. And so, if you are newer to the channel, or if you're not, you can recall various times if someone asks me a question, I will then, reflect it back to them, as I don't like making assumptions. So I can only speak for what positioning and being in position means to me, right? It means at times as I'm going through this plan that I have prepared for, that now I have realized, oh, it's not going according to the way I expected, right? And so therefore, then I begin to pivot, but I also want to begin to intentionally position myself, which means for me being accessible and being visible. Just think about that. Positioning oneself, it takes intentionality, right? Being accessible and visible. Yeah, you're right. That patience. And when we're dealing with human beings, it can be so difficult because we may not know what to expect from them moment to moment. Being in position, being open to receive the lesson of experience. I love that. Yeah, y'all. I love that. You said an interesting word that we're actually going to utilize here shortly, being open. Open. Anyone can say, oh, I'm receptive until it's time to be receptive. Any of you know individuals like that? They are so, they claim to say, I am open to receive until that very moment where it is time to be receptive. And you're like, who the hell is this person? That is not just what you shared earlier, right? So, yes, we now want to be positioned. And then we want to move into posturing oneself. Now, posture for me is listening and honoring the God that is within me. That's for me. Like I said, I can't speak for anyone else. But that posturing is my connection to my ancestors. It is when I am intentionally seeking guidance. Good morning, beautiful mommy. Hi, mommy. So happy to see you. Um, it is when I have positioned myself, as our dear brother stated, being open to receive, and I have postured now my mind, my body. So holistically, I have postured myself. Good morning, Snoopy Mac. Blessings to you. Real quick, before I move on, it's a couple of you that I have definitely seen, whether it be in the YouTube streets or even being a part of the platforms that I am often a part of myself. So I want to go ahead and do that. All right. So we get back to this posture. So, like I said, for me, posture and myself is when I am really connecting to myself, which for myself requires alone time. Now, y'all, don't get caught up in this posture, this posturing that it turns into avoidance. And once again, we have avoided the mission or the purpose. No, it just means we are intentionally spending some time, whether it be a couple of times throughout the day when you're feeling that yearning to do so, maybe several times a week, whatever it looks like for you. But don't allow your posture to become your placemat, meaning that is where now you're going to become stagnated, right? Okay, I hope that made sense. Yeah, Jose. Yeah, definitely. You sure do. You do. You need that time to self because how else can we hear, like I said, if in fact you do have a higher power, whatever, whomever that may be, how can we hear if the other things around us are so loud? So sometimes we need to lend ourselves that time to be able to receive that which, you know, our higher power may be instructing and so forth. The next thing we often hear about, you always want to make sure that you're progressing. You always want to, good morning, NBAD Nice. So happy to have you here. So happy to have you here. We hear about progressing. You always want to, keep moving, keep going, keep going. And it's something that we all really want to do. But like I said, for myself, when I'm not intentional with these P's that I have been sharing, and when I ignore a few of the things that work for me, I'm now thrown off kilter. And that's what can happen. That's a big one, Jose. That's a big one. And I'm going to revisit what you said. If you're not going forward, there's nothing in the middle. Remember, if you're not making mistakes, it's because you're not even trying. Now, here's the philosophical side of me. You don't even have to answer, right, y'all? This is just a space that I've developed where we can have these conversations. Um, Philosophically speaking, does something become a mistake right away? Or is it just, you know, hey, we were trying and hopefully we'll learn the lesson. For myself, I don't see things as mistakes until we continue to do the same thing expecting a different result. Now, that can also become, a little delusional because it's like, yes, yeah, you can learn from it. Yeah, definitely. Right? And that's the goal here. Don't abort the mission, don't abort your plan. Just learn how to pivot. Learn how to be like your favorite athlete, right? And pivot a little different. Gain more flexibility in this. Yeah, tripping over the same rock all the time. Exactly. Exactly. The same rock is there, and you just choose different paths to walk right over it and trip up. We got to do something different, right? But once again, like I said, delay does not mean denial, y'all. So let's go back. Once we have, like I said, this works for me. Once I have incorporated all these other P's as a part of my plan and preparation, now I can begin to progress. I can progress because I know what I'm working towards. I have learned that I cannot be so rigid with this plan. I've learned that pivoting at times is what is needed. Flexibility is what is needed. I have learned that positioning and posturing myself can continue to help me in this plan. And I can begin to now make some progress here. It's a process. If none of you have recognized, yeah. And you want to trust this process. And that's where comes that patience with self. Patience with self. Because if you reflect for a moment, there was a time maybe you wouldn't even have progressed this far. There was a time where maybe you weren't even as open to receive as you are now. So give yourself that praise that you still are not where you once were. And we continue to progress and we continue to grow. We continue to evolve. Like I said, delay does not equate nor mean denial. It doesn't. So the P's that we went over was just planning. Well, first preparing. I think preparation is a good one. Planning, having a plan, pivoting when needed, positioning or repositioning, having that posture, being able to make progress, trusting the process, and for each state, each moment that you are making any progress, praise yourself. Sometimes we're the only people that are going to pat ourselves on the back. Sometimes it's just us. Good morning. Good morning to you, G5. I'm so grateful for all of you that have been here, that were able to check it out. Like I said, I definitely appreciate you all. I am praying that you all have a wonderful day. And I also, something may resonate later. Drop it in the comments. I'm very intentional with making videos in response or answering questions. And I'm open to recommendations, whatever that may look like. So again, thank you for stopping by. As always, we are all doing this thing called life for the very first time. We're not going to have it all figured out, y'all. Be gentle with yourselves. Be patient with yourselves. Have a wonderful day. Blessings.